Want to hit Shake Shack. Diarrhea comforts me.
Okay. Oh, any immortal words of Anthony Alejandro Stark? Anthony Penelope Stark? Anthony Soprano Stark? Anthony Ingrid Shart? Anthony Edwards from ER.
Mr. Wilson, this may come as a shock to a narcissistic, blathering bag of meat like yourself, but your universe is not the only one in existence.
Oh, please, you think I haven't seen Dr. Ant in the Quantumverse of Madness?
Your world may seem singular to you, but really it's a teeny tiny weeny speck on a vast cosmic canvas. In reality, the only universe considered the true universe exists on the sacred timeline, and it is guarded zealously by all of us here at the TVA.
Cassandra Nova, a megalomaniacal. Husk charred remains while gargling juggernauts. Wow. And you can quote me.
Okay. Wesley is Blade to me and ushered in a whole era and took risks back then that hadn't really been done. This is a character that Wesley, in large part, created.
This version of my Blade, I thought I'd make him a little more comfortable with himself. You know, in the first ones, he was a little more angry and he had chips on his shoulders and he had a lot of issues. Figured time has passed, he's had plenty of therapy, so now he's issue-less.
I was born ready.
Smiling and having a great time being who he is.
There's only ever been one Blade. There's only ever gonna be one Blade.
Woo. It's great.
They call me the Gambit.
Good. You sure you didn't just really want them to, but it never quite worked out?
I've been dancing around Gambit for almost close to like 20 years now. I hadn't done truly anything to actually walk onto screen as Gambit just even one time.
You want me to look intense or you want me to look like really chill like that every time?
You tell me, man. I am trusting your instincts.
Even my childhood, I was playing Gambit. My dad's from New Orleans, and I was the kid that was grabbing like my dad's duster, my dad's raincoat. I had a pack of cards, and I was always chucking them at my friends and like doing the whole thing.
Talk or I'm gonna start dealing.
I just felt like we just played the highest stakes, like, make-believe game that you could possibly play.
I didn't want to stop yesterday. Everybody was like tired. I was like, do we have to go home? Do I have to take it off?
Blade won't admit it, but he wants us more. You know, once you get past the anger, he's really quite angry. Go.
He was laying them buttery nuts all up in my mama, and I shot up there and I said, "What's up, Doc?"
Johnny Storm, I love you.
Oh, yes.
I think I'm hit. Did they get my face?
Oh. No, I'm just keep going. I was in anal birth. Sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, look at this little guy. You having a Shirley Temple? It's a little Cabbage Patch Kid.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Marvel's releasing Deadpool and Wolverine on home video, so they started releasing all the bonus features, deleted scenes, bloopers. There's a ton of stuff here, so we'll just break it all down. Iron Man, they make jokes about Ant-Man, the Wasp, Quantumania, Kang, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. There's so much going on here, so if you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. I don't think we need a spoiler warning because the movie's been out for so long, pretty much everybody on the planet has seen it, but just in case, we're going to cover the entire movie here. During the beginning of this, they start with some funny moments and deleted scenes of Deadpool with Happy before he's getting ready to get kicked out of the Avengers Tower in the main 616 MCU universe and go back to his universe back in 2018 before he became a used car salesman. Makes a pretty big Shake Shack burn. If you don't know, Shake Shack is one of the big slap burger franchises in the New York area. They also exist in Los Angeles and a couple other places, but like out in Los Angeles, it's more like In-N-Out Burger. At one of my very early YouTube jobs at a company called Next New Networks, you can actually still see me in the background of some videos. Sometimes for lunch, we would get free Shake Shack. It was actually pretty cool, even though Deadpool is clowning on them in this video. He makes a joke about jerking it instead of going off and getting Shake Shack, like going off to comfort himself by jerking it. Jon Favreau is Happy Hogan here, just completely breaking during the scene. He can't get through it without laughing. During the actual scene here, Iron Man was supposed to show up. They were actually in talks with Robert Downey Jr. He even read pages with Ryan Reynolds as they were filming the scene. The reason why he didn't end up in the movie is because while that was actually going on, like while they were going through all this, working on the movie, they were also negotiating his contract to come back as Doctor Doom for Avengers 5 Doomsday and Avengers 6 Secret Wars, and the Russos coming back too. So without telling Ryan Reynolds everything that was going on, like Ryan Reynolds didn't know about him coming back as Doctor Doom, like he only knew about what was going on during his Deadpool and Wolverine movie. Robert Downey Jr. said that it didn't make sense to come back as both Iron Man and then right after that turn around and come back as Doctor Doom. So as you can guess, the Doctor Doom part won out and he dropped out of that cameo from the movie. It was going to be him interviewing Deadpool for a spot on the Avengers, which is why he jokes in the theatrical cut about the man, quote unquote, not doing cameos anymore. So you have to imagine them just wisecracking each other back and forth, trying to outmaneuver each other verbally. Deadpool making jokes about Iron Man and Iron Man making jokes about Deadpool. Then he makes a whole bunch of Iron Man Tony Stark jokes trying to say his middle name and messing it up and just calling him a couple different things. This is at the end of the movie right after they defeated the Deadpool Corps and they're about to kill Paradox until he tells them how to destroy the Time Ripper. When he tries to dedicate the takedown to Iron Man Tony Stark, he tries to say his middle name. He starts with Alejandro first, then Penelope. He makes a Sopranos reference, like he thinks his middle name is Soprano. One time he calls Tony Stark Iron Shart, that's a good one, then Anthony Edwards from ER, so Deadpool confirmed ER fan. Tony Stark's middle name is actually Edwards, so it's Anthony Edwards Stark. Even though we missed out on a bunch more Iron Man jokes and references during the movie, and there were still a couple more, I talked about them during like my full breakdown and Easter eggs video, so I'll link it down in the description below. We will probably still get a bunch of Deadpool, Iron Man, and Doctor Doom jokes during Secret Wars. Like, just think about the level of Disney and Marvel jokes that he can make when he sees Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom in Secret Wars. One of the beauties of Deadpool is that he's sort of like the mouth of the fandom, so like anything that the fans are complaining about or just really hated, he's able to call out directly, which he also does during these deleted scenes. There's a whole deleted scene that gets way deeper on the fact that they consider the MCU to be like the main official true universe and like all the other universes in the multiverse to be like side quests, like footnotes. With Deadpool directly calling out Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, calling them Dr. Ant in the Quantumverse of Madness, meaning that Deadpool has seen some MCU movies, which might be how he knows some of the MCU characters. During the movie, there's this scene where Paradox shows him the monitors of the MCU. He talks about bringing him to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Deadpool makes a bunch of Marvel Jesus jokes like, I'm going to save the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's meant to be a reference with like 4 different layers of meta. Deadpool is being brought to the MCU by the TVA because Disney bought Fox, Marvel got its characters back, so they want to do Deadpool in the MCU. Kevin Feige wants to do Deadpool in the MCU. Marvel's also had a bit of a low point the last couple of years with its reception to a lot of movies and TV shows, which Deadpool also calls out.
Welcome to the MCU, by the way. You're joining at a bit of a low point.
So he's going to be Marvel Jesus and save interest in Marvel, like basically save the Marvel Universe in a financial kind of way. Currently, the movie's box office actually puts it right below Black Panther. It is now the 7th highest earning superhero movie of any kind from any studio. It's actually pretty close to beating the box office on Black Panther. Makes all the jokes about Happy saying that the Avengers don't need Deadpool during the movie that much more relevant, that much more meta. But Deadpool directly calling out Doctor Strange and Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, probably as close as we're going to get to him calling out Kang and like all the big debacle going on behind Marvel at this point. The funny thing about that too, like all the Marvel Jesus jokes and all the Disney jokes, the low point jokes, is they said when they were filming the movie, those were put into the script and recorded long before Marvel had some big box office bombs, if you can call them bombs. Like there were a couple movies that did really, really poorly. Probably better to say relative to other Marvel movies, what Marvel would consider bombs comparatively. A bomb for Marvel Studios is still like a ton of money for like another studio. And a lot of the jokes were actually ad-libs of Ryan Reynolds just doing stuff on the fly. Like during these deleted scenes, you can see him try a couple different jokes during the different takes. He did that through the entire movie. So it wasn't so much him calling out like the big box office bombs the last couple of years. It was just him making that joke and then Marvel having a couple box office bombs, making it more of like a self-fulfilling prophecy kind of situation, like a coincidence. Like, oh wow, that kind of worked out. They did have some box office bombs. I think the bigger deal during that deleted scene is when Paradox says that they consider the sacred timeline, the MCU, the true universe, and like everybody else doesn't really matter. What he's basically saying is like the X-Men universe, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man universe, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man universe, the Sony Venomverse, basically any other universe that you could think of with any other group of characters from any other group of movies. I know there's always going to be a ton of questions about what the difference between the Sacred Timeline and different variants are, because like we see a bunch of different variants inside the Sacred Timeline with like different movies and inconsistencies between movies. The way they describe the MCU when it comes to the Sacred Timeline is that the Sacred Timeline, if you look here at the way they depict it on the Loki series, is sort of like a bunch of ropes of different timelines all tied together in a much larger rope. This is what the Sacred Timeline is. Like, it's a bunch of different timelines with very subtle variances all tied together, which becomes the official main MCU universe, which is how there can be a multitude of different Earths inside the Sacred Timeline. Like, the multiverse already existed before Loki Season 1. It's just that all the differences, Earth to Earth, in these different variants of the main 616 universe were very, very small. Then after Loki Season 1, you get the infinite multiverse with infinite different variations on characters, some of them incredibly different versions, including other universes like the X-Men universe, the Fantastic Four, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man universe, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man universe, the Venomverse, like all these other different universes. What they're doing with the next two Avengers movies and Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Doctor Doom is sort of a culmination of what is time runs out in the comics in the more recent version of Secret Wars, where you had the wider multiverse being collapsed into a single universe. Then eventually at the end of that, once they defeat that version of Doctor Doom, Robert Downey Jr., they repair the multiverse and things go back to the way they used to be. Speaking of deleted scenes, love Chris Evans trying to make it through his dialogue as Johnny Storm mouthing off about Cassandra Nova. Then Ryan Reynolds pays tribute to Blade as sort of the originator of a lot of these modern comic book movies and cinematic universes. Like he says, without the success of that first Blade movie, the X-Men universe would not have been born. Like, Fox would have been too afraid to actually make those movies and spend all that money on them. And without the success of those original X-Men movies, that X-Men universe, there would have been no MCU. So basically, you can trace this all back to the success of the Blade movies at the end of the 90s. That actually came after sort of the collapse of the Batman movies with Batman and Robin with the George Clooney version of Batman. There are a lot of actors that actually get into this. After that, Hollywood was terrified of comic book movies until the Blade movie came along and blew up so big. I did a totally separate video about it a little while ago, but after this movie, Ryan Reynolds actually started campaigning people to actually get Marvel to make a Logan-style send-off movie for Wesley Snipes' version of Blade. It's also a really cool way to show you what an awesome dude Ryan Reynolds is, using his fame to try and help Wesley Snipes, because Wesley Snipes early in Ryan Reynolds' career helped him out by putting him in Blade Trinity. There are a couple other deleted scenes of Gambit just going on about jokes, trying different versions of jokes. Also during the scene, you might have caught it, Deadpool makes another Storm reference. Oh, Storm would have loved you. Halle Berry said that she was not asked to come back for the movie. I don't know exactly what happened because sometimes actors aren't completely truthful about that, but I do believe her that she was not asked to be back in the movie. What I think wound up happening is that when they were deciding on all the X-Men cameos, like who do we actually bring back, they wanted to keep the budget down, and that's why they made the Chris Evans joke about him crushing their budget. Do you know what he was doing to the budget of this movie? But Marvel is trying to bring back a lot of those classic major X-Men characters from the original X-Men movies for things like Secret Wars, so like eventually she will come back in some way. Same thing with all the other X-Men characters too. But there's a lot of stuff going on during these deleted scenes and bloopers, so if there's any Easter eggs that you spotted that I didn't talk about in the video or my other Deadpool deleted scenes videos, just write them below in the comments. Because they're releasing the movie on home video next week, we'll probably get some more deleted scenes. If we get any other big ones that I have not done videos for yet, I'll try to do videos for all that stuff too. Everybody click here to watch Agatha All Along canonize Mephisto inside the MCU. That's right, she went full Mephisto. And click here to learn about Marvel canceling a bunch of movies and TV shows recently. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.